Good Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Let's check in outside this afternoon. Yes, winter is clinging to spring right now. We can't let it go. It's still around for a little bit, but warmer temperatures are melting that snow that we got overnight. The roads are pretty good. That snow causing some messy road conditions a little earlier this morning. Like I said, cleaning up though. Some wind from the north, making it feel a little brisk. My son tried to go to school in shorts today. I said no, and he did not like that. But then we checked the weather together, and he got the picture. We'll check in with the weather team in just a little bit. Just this afternoon, Mayor Jacob Fry is vetoing a decision from the City Council that would extend pre-eviction notices from 30 days to 60 days. The mayor also announcing $1 million in emergency rental assistance to help residents stay in their homes. Now, that money is on top of the council's recently approved $1 million to support those same families, but say that money takes time to get where it needs to go. The city council members say they wanted an eviction notice extension because it would give families impacted by Operation Metro Surge more time to get help for the rent. Fry said in a statement, though, today that stopping evictions may sound good, but experience from COVID shows it is not the answer, he says. Rental assistance is. New video this afternoon showing U.S. forces striking several of what it calls Iranian mine-laying ships. U.S. Central Command says the ships were laying mines near the Strait of Hormuz, one of the busiest waterways in the world, and the reason why oil is spiking in price, especially when it comes to oil shipments. It's a super busy area. The bottleneck in the strait caused by the war currently happening in the Middle East is causing, again, oil prices to reach over $100 and, in turn, increase the price of gasoline. There could be relief on the way, though. Today, the International Energy Agency said that it would release 400 million barrels of oil from their reserves to try and keep gas prices down. According to the agency, every one of its member countries voted for that release. Right now, it's not clear when that release would happen. Here in Minnesota, the average price now sits at $3.25 a gallon. That's up nearly 55 cents from last month. Nationally, gas prices rose for the 11th straight day, climbing to $3.57. AAA says the increase has raised the cost for drivers by 20%. Inflation, though, held steady last month. That's according to the latest Consumer Price Index released this morning. It shows annual inflation unchanged in February at 2.4%. On a monthly basis, prices rose 3%. That's slightly faster than January's increase. Energy costs were a major driver. Prices in that category climbed 0.6%. Economists do note that the data was collected before the U.S. and Israeli coalition launched an attack on Iran. Those tensions have already pushed energy prices and gas costs higher, as we just explained, meaning the impact could show up more clearly in inflation in the months ahead. Right now, Governor Tim Walz is proposing sweeping changes to how Medicaid is administered in Minnesota. The massive overhaul is in response to the long-running fraud crisis in this state. The governor says the move is meant to strengthen fraud detection and modernize a system that is outdated. Critics warn it could dismantle safeguards that are already catching fraud. Well, our investigative reporter AJ Legault and the rest of the I-Team, which single-handedly exposed a lot of the fraud that is shaking up the state system, he's here to break down these proposed reforms.
A Frankenstein monster. That's how Governor Walz described Minnesota's human services system. His new proposal would not just tighten the monster's bolts, it would blow it up.
But the system is growing too complex for necessary oversight.
After years of fraud scandals inside Minnesota's Medicaid programs, Governor Tim Walz seeking to transform human services. His plan would eliminate the use of private insurance companies called managed care organizations, or MCOs, and phase out contracted case managers by centralizing oversight at the state level of a fragmented system.
You end up with a bit of a Frankenstein monster that you keep putting bolts onto the side of it, and it becomes very, very difficult to administer.
Governor, our reporting found that the managed care organizations were often the ones spotting and flagging the fraud that, to be blunt, the agency ignored or slow-rolled. Is there evidence to support that doing away with the managed care organizations will reduce fraud and improve
I
oversight.
can't speak to that.
The governor punted the question to the DHS Inspector General, James Clark.
To answer the question, I mean, I haven't seen any evidence that managed care organizations are better at spotting or detecting fraud than the Department of Human Services.
Here's some evidence. Kare 11 found the MCO, Hennepin Health, spotted fraudulent billing by housing stabilization providers more than a year before DHS took any action. March 15, 2024, Hennepin Health emailed DHS warning of patterns of behavior and billing that raised our eyebrows. They flagged kickbacks and sent official fraud referrals, while a DHS OIG manager responded, "We're flying blind so far." Even after Hennepin Health gave DHS a PowerPoint presentation on the fraud, the agency took no action for another 5 months until Kare 11's investigation publicly exposed the fraud.
Taking the MCOs out of the picture, that really concerns me. So
House Fraud Committee Chairwoman Kristen Robbins, a Republican running for governor, disputed the administration's claim that consolidating oversight to DHS could help investigators spot suspicious billing patterns sooner.
That's absolutely backwards of how it works in practice. The MCOs are the ones with the most robust fraud detection tools, and they try to report to DHS, and then they report to me, then DHS ghosts them.
Governor Walz contends fraud has flourished in a decentralized structure where responsibility is spread across counties, 8 different insurers, and the state agency.
If the state needs to be responsible for taxpayer dollars, we need to have it centralized where we can take that accountability.
The Minnesota Council of Health Plans issued a statement saying consolidating Medicaid administration into a single statewide entity would concentrate operational and financial risk to an unprecedented degree. The governor's proposal faces strong headwinds, even from members of his own party like Senator John Hoffman, who chairs the Human Services Committee. He said it lacked thoughtful collaboration. Republican leaders labeled the governor's proposal a bologna sandwich.
This proposal, as described by the governor, it has no future, as far as I can tell, in the Minnesota State Legislature.
After years of fraud scandals, one thing is clear. The battle over how to fix it is far from settled. Of course, looming over all of this is the specter of the Trump administration threatening to withhold billions of Medicaid dollars if Minnesota doesn't enact unspecified actions to rein in fraud. When asked about that, Governor Walz responded, "The Trump administration is going to Trump." For Kare 11 Investigates, I'm AJ Legault.
Wow, what a story. AJ Legault, everybody. Moving on, right now federal prosecutors are asking a judge to delay a trial in the massive Feeding Our Future fraud scheme because of a mass exodus of federal prosecutors. Abdirahman Ahmed was charged with money laundering in 2022 and is scheduled to face a jury in June. But the U.S. Attorney's Office says it won't be able to adequately prepare for that trial. Several top prosecutors resigned in January, citing pressure from the Department of Justice to investigate Renee Good's widow after a federal agent shot and killed her. Happening today at the state capitol, Harvey's Law will officially be introduced. It is named after the 11-month-old that was killed at a Savage daycare last fall. The bill would require cameras in infant and toddler rooms at licensed child care centers receiving state funds. It also calls for the footage to be stored for 28 days. Supporters say cameras could have caught the daycare worker who admittedly killed Harvey and harmed another child. Others argue it creates privacy and security concerns.
If cameras had been present, the first assault on Peyton would have been seen and action could have been taken before Harvey lost his life.
They might record what happens every day, but they don't prevent errors or maltreatment. What can improve safety in hospitals and in childcare is proper training, supervision, ratios, protocols and procedures, inspections, higher pay for staff, and more.
It'll likely be voted on next week. If passed, Minnesota will become the first state to require cameras for child care centers. Happening right now in Illinois and Indiana, massive cleanup underway after a powerful storm system unleashed destructive tornadoes there. This system reaching as far south as Texas, dropping golf ball-sized hail in some spots. All that with more severe weather on the way. NBC's Maggie Vespa is in one of the hardest hit areas of Illinois for us this afternoon.
Hey there, the damage here this morning is just jaw-dropping. I mean, look over my shoulder here. This home, these homes, plural, torn to shreds. You can see that home's cinder block foundation, the rest of it in pieces, and it's widespread. Look across the road over here, more homes off in the distance, again, with severe damage. Authorities here reporting 9 injuries, most of them minor, they say, here in Illinois, but just across the state border in Indiana, they're talking about several, in their word, injuries, as well as 2 fatalities. The Newton County coroner confirming an elderly couple, who they're not naming at this time, was killed in these tornadoes overnight. We're also seeing reports of massive hail from Texas up through Indiana, at times baseball-sized or potentially larger. We're going to confirm that at this hour, and 10 reported tornadoes across those states touching down overnight. And again, this is a widespread area, and now we have authorities really across multiple states asking people to stay off the roads in the wake of this, to try to assess damage like this, to get to reports of people who are injured, to help them hopefully in time, and in a lot of cases, including here, to try and restore power. You can see power poles down and damaged behind me. That's part of why we're staying back, and the road is closed on the other side of this scene. Again, it's just a widespread trail of damage across multiple states in the wake of this latest severe weather outbreak. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Maggie. Stick with us. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.